Coming up on News 2, the Defense Department is attempting to change an election law for federal offices in Guam and the U.S.V.I. Delegate Christensen says that should not be made without input from the territory. A plan by DLCA to open up spots to new vendors at the Vendors Plaza in St. Thomas has caused some controversy, why many vendors are saying no. Plus, police on St. Thomas are investigating an attempted armed robbery and assault that left a 52-year-old man injured. Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gomansing. The Defense Department is attempting to change election law for federal offices in Guam and the U.S.V.I. VI Delegate to Congress Donna Christensen says that should not be made without input from the territory. The delegate wrote to the chairman and ranking member of the Senate Armed Services Committee to register her disapproval, not to the change, but her objection to the process.
The Senate decided to even consider this provision that would change the way federal elections are decided in Virgin Islands and Guam, moving it from where a 50% plus one vote is required for a person to be declared a winner to a plurality or just having the most votes. That's the change that they're proposing. And the reason that they're proposing it is because it would avoid a runoff, because a runoff in both of the territories is determined to take place 14 days after the primary, or after the primary in this case. And so there would not be enough time to ensure that the ballots would get to the military personnel in time for the general election. And again, I don't have an objection to the change in and of itself. I have an objection to the process. But I still think that a change such as that cannot be done in isolation without even my going back to talk to at least our legislature and the Board of Elections about their position on such a change. And so that's my intention at this point in time.
And News 2 will keep you updated. Governor John DeYoung hosted a destination symposium with the head of Florida Caribbean Cruise Association and some of their member lines, such as Disney and Royal Caribbean, with efforts of informing them of the recent renovations and improvements that are being made throughout the islands.
What we did is gave them an overview of the activities that are taking place. So the Commissioner of Public Works, Darrell Smalls, was able to outline to them the various projects we have going, from the Market Square project to the Main Street project that we're going to start very shortly, to the traffic projects that we have with Long Bay, what we're planning with respect to Veterans Drive, the parking structure, and the analysis we're going through right now in response to an RFP, and also the Fort Christian Revitalization Renovation Project, which is all a part of the revitalization of Charlotte Amalie. And we discussed, quite frankly, growing the Frederickstead area, but also looking, and the pier in Frederickstead, but also looking at what is the possibility of Christianstead, and is there any possibilities to drive some activity to both ends of the island as another destination and an offering that we can give them. So it was a very open discussion. It was a very good discussion.
Police on St. Thomas are investigating an attempted armed robbery and assault that happened Tuesday night in Estate Nada. A 52-year-old man told police he was going to his car when a man covering his face with a white T-shirt and holding a gun demanded money. The victim grabbed the suspect's hand and the two started to struggle. Second suspect was wearing a black T-shirt over his face, approached and struck the victim on the side of his head with a gun. The second suspect also fired 3 shots, but the victim was not hit. The suspects fled on foot, and the victim was transported to the Schneider Hospital, and police are still seeking the suspects. Crime Stoppers pays, but let's make sure that crime doesn't pay. Remember, even the smallest bit of information may be just what law enforcement needs to solve these cases. And here's this week's Crime Stoppers report on St. Croix. Law enforcement is again asking for your help with the investigation into the deaths of Kashawn K. Force Batiste and Jose Navarro, the mighty TNL Batiste. As reported, their lifeless bodies were found on Wednesday afternoon, May 1st. If you were in the area and saw any person or vehicle entering or leaving the premises, police need to hear from you. Over on St. John on June 4th at 2:30 p.m., a male reported to police that his home in the area of 4A, Quaco, and Zimmerman in Coral Bay had been broken into. Several items were stolen from 2 different apartments, including money and jewelry. On St. Thomas on Thursday, June 6 at 5:55 a.m., 911 received a call that a man was slumped over in a car in the vicinity of Coral World Smith Bay. Preliminary investigation revealed that the man had been driving in the area of Coral World when he was shot several times. Police are requesting your assistance in identifying the victim, who is slim, dark-skinned, between 40 to 45 years of age, approximately 5'8", and weighs 160 pounds. His hair is cut low and he has a thin beard. He was wearing blue jeans and a white long-sleeve shirt and a wristband from Tootsie's Gentleman Club. The car is a red 4-door Pontiac Grand Am. You can call 1-800-222-TIPS. You can also text U.S.V.I plus your message to crimes. That's 274-637. If your tip leads to the arrest or recovery of stolen property, illegal drugs, or weapons, you will receive a cash reward to be paid according to your instructions. Well, business is still bustling for some 60 vendors currently occupying Vendors Plaza in Emancipation Garden, St. Thomas. But since a meeting called by the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs last week, a looming threat is causing these same vendors to worry that business might change, and not for the better. News2's April Knight has that story.
It might seem like business as usual here at Vendors Plaza in St. Thomas, but beneath the surface, tension is brewing. Vendors Plaza can hold about 60 vendor spaces assigned to vendors through an annual lottery, but recent changes being proposed have the vendors in an uproar.
Why should we allow them to take our business away from us?
Existing vendors at Vendors Plaza used to sell their wares on the streets, but in the early 90s, the government ordered that they set up shop in one allocated spot, what became known as Emancipation Garden Vendors Plaza.
There's no real original agreement. What it is, they get a permit, a placement permit for Vendors Plaza, and then they're there located in Vendors Plaza.
In a meeting held last week, the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs put forth a proposal that changes the game for current vendors at the plaza.
We're proposing an amendment whereby every 2 years there'll be a lottery draw for spaces at the Vendors Plaza. We've had people on our waiting list for many, many years.
The potential change did not please existing vendors who feel that their livelihood is under threat.
Like stripping the opportunity away from the 64 existing vendors and giving 64 more people the opportunity to come in.
There are people in here that takes care of their children, their grandchildren. People have mortgages, and all of a sudden they're going to tell you, you can't work anymore.
We don't believe that the government should strip opportunity. They should create opportunity.
The DLCA is waiting for comments and suggestions from existing Vendors Plaza occupants, scheduled to be discussed in a second meeting on June 19th. Until then, for current vendors at Vendors Plaza, it's business as usual. April Knight, News2.
The tax collector's office has implemented new guidelines for the delinquent property auctions. Bidders must now register in advance of the auction and pay a $25 non-refundable registration fee. The next round of property auctions in the St. Thomas-St. John district will be held on June 20th and 21st at the Island Flavor restaurant located at the Crown Bay Dock. On St. Croix, June 26th and 27th at the Cardiac Center located at the Wanapalooie Hospital. The auctions will begin at 9 a.m. and the new procedures takes effect immediately. The National Security Agency chief made his first public appearance since last week's disclosures about government telephone and internet surveillance, while the former NSA contractor behind the leaks is talking to reporters again. Tara Mergener has more from Capitol Hill.
The director of the National Security Agency came to Capitol Hill to talk about cybersecurity. He did not discuss two secret government surveillance programs, but did praise the men and women who work for the NSA.
They do this lawfully. They take compliance oversight, protecting civil liberties and privacy and the security of this nation to their heart.
This is the first time General Keith Alexander has fielded questions publicly since details about the NSA collecting U.S. phone records and monitoring the internet activity of users outside the U.S. were revealed last week.
I want the American people to know that we're trying to be transparent here, protect civil liberties and privacy, but also the security of this country.
In a new CBS poll, 46% of people surveyed say the government has struck the right balance between fighting terrorism and privacy. 36% say the NSA has gone too far.
Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle want to see some parts of these surveillance programs declassified to help explain to the public what information is collected and how it is used.
The former NSA contractor behind the leaks revealing the secret programs is once again talking to reporters. Edward Snowden explained to the South China Morning Post why he fled to Hong Kong, saying, quote, "I am not here to hide from justice. I am here to reveal criminality." Law enforcement sources tell CBS News there is no evidence Snowden has left Hong Kong.
And keeping our eye on the economy, if you're traveling this fall, you could get a great deal on airfares. Southwest, United, Delta, American, and U.S. Airways are offering round-trip tickets from $98 to about $300 for travel from August 26th through December 18th, but the deals end tomorrow. Facebook is adopting hashtags. Those are the number signs used on Twitter, Instagram, and other services to identify topics being discussed and allow users to search for them. Facebook says hashtags make it easier for users to find out what others are discussing. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. The Dow, Nasdaq, S&P all down. The Dow 126, Nasdaq 36, S&P 13. Coming up on News 2, more and more children are surviving cancer thanks to better treatments, but a new study shows the therapies that can help them can cause other health issues later on. That's coming up into Your Health. The Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority and Fortress Electric crews will be installing transformers and high voltage and secondary cables on King and Company Streets in Christensen on Saturday, June 16th from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Crews will also be splicing underground high voltage cables on King Street between Queen Cross and Church Streets. Traffic interruption will be minimal as there will be no excavating or trenching of the road during the cable installation. Motorists are asked to observe signs and flaggers' directions to ensure the safety of workers and the public. A new and improved Spanish tier was recently launched by Innovative Cable TV. In January, the company decided to remove the existing Spanish tier due to changes made by the programmer. Since then, company executives worked diligently to secure a new contract with an alternate programmer, and 6 channels are now available to subscribers for the monthly fee of $8.50. The channel features blockbuster and independent films, including popular genres such as action, drama, comedies, and romance. Additional digital and high-definition channels will be launched shortly on the new system. Innovative is the